Hello and welcome to Module 6. This is Kim Blumenfeld. I'm your lead faculty for Healing Environments and Practices. You will start with this module with a discussion question that I will detail on the next slide. Your assignment this module is a table of evidence, or TOE, as you might see it referenced as. Your patients are now curious about therapies that are atypical in Western medicine. You may be asked when meeting with your patients about some of these therapies. It is important to know how to find peer-reviewed research to help you answer these questions. This module challenges you to choose an integrative therapy and find 5 evidence-based journal articles presenting or lacking evidence of efficacy. But first, let's start with discussion question 6.1, the interview of a provider of integrative or complementary healing modality. Choose an alternate or complementary healing technique that you are interested in learning about. Develop a list of interview questions and schedule and conduct an interview with a provider of that therapy. Your choice does not have to be the same therapy that you chose for your experience. You are not required to use the exact responses of the interviewee or to use language such as the interviewee states. The objective is for you to provide your reader with an overview of the provider's background and experience, the measures that they utilize to establish a holistic relationship with their clients, their strategies to create a healing environment, their philosophy about health and wellness, and other information learned in the interview that you might think is relevant. Your first response is due on Thursday. That will be your interview of week 6, and then you'll respond to 2 of your colleagues on that same week on Sunday. So here's an overview of the provided template that you have available to you of the Table of Evidence, TOE. You're going to choose one integrative therapy that you are interested in learning more about. Search the literature to find 5 original research articles on the same integrative therapy. For example, all research articles should address yoga or should address healing touch or meditation, whatever you choose. Please choose only one integrative therapy for this assignment. Using the template provided, develop a comprehensive table of using 5 primary research articles, not a review or meta-analysis on the same integrative therapy. A primary research article means that the authors ran the experiment. They did not compile information from experiments done by different authors. Please include the following. In the first category, you're going to see the title and type of study, and that should be within the last 5 years. The author and date, the level of evidence, and the quality. Then in step 2, you'll be going over the purpose or aims of the study, then population description, intervention delivery, and then you're going to give the findings or results of the study. Findings, results of the study. Qualitative studies use findings, quantitative studies use results. I'll say that again. Qualitative studies use findings, quantitative studies use results. At the end of the table on the same document, write a 1-paragraph summary of the evidence in the table and 1 paragraph discussing how you would apply the evidence as a leader in healthcare. Remember that a paragraph has to be at least 3 sentences long. The application paragraph may apply to direct clinical practice or work environments. And when you're finished with this table, you'll post the assignment to the Dropbox. Okay, here I'm going to review what's already on your table, on your template, the level of evidence. And I know this is a busy slide, but I want you to take a very good look at the red lettering on this slide. I want to make sure that you understand that you can only use individual studies for your research articles. You cannot cannot use a systematic or meta-analysis study. That won't be accepted. And even though in the definitions on your template under level of evidence, they include systematic review or meta-analysis, that is only to complete the definition of each level. Systematic and meta-analysis studies are not accepted. And let me explain why. Systematic and meta-analysis studies are studies that research many studies to come up with one conclusion. An individual study stands on its own, and because of that, it may be harder to find in complementary and alternative medicine therapies. However, they do exist, so just keep looking. Okay, next to your level of evidence on your template, you're going to see a section that will talk about the quality of the study and the quality guide. So there it's pretty self-explanatory, the different types of qualities, high, good, and low. Know that high quality studies are usually random control, quantitative studies. They're consistent and have a sufficient sample size for the study design, which is usually greater than 30 subjects, and they have definite conclusions. But you can still use good quality and low quality studies because with CAM therapies, we don't have a lot of, or very little of, random controlled quantitative type studies, but there's still a lot of good qualitative studies out there, even if they're small in sample size. So just speak to that when you get into your findings and results, and explain why the study, is not of the highest quality, and that you may need more research done in this particular area to see if this intervention really does do for the patient as it claims to do. So the next two slides that you're going to see are presented by Nurse Killiam. Nurse Killiam is a YouTube star, in my opinion. She has a smart video series on all things nursing. I have chosen the literature review summary for your first one that you'll see, and in this she talks about how to fill in your summary table. She begins with how to actually set up the table, but that's already done for you in that template. So just listen through that, and then she'll start to talk about the categories of your template. And even though the categories aren't exactly as your template is, I feel very confident that you can translate her explanation into your template for this assignment. And then the video after that is going to be another video by Nurse Killiam that's going to just talk about the difference between a quantitative and a qualitative study. And each of these videos are only about 3 minutes long, and they're pretty informative, so enjoy.
Once you have found literature that you want to include in your review, the task of summarizing it can be daunting. It is helpful to use a data extraction tool while you are reviewing each article. Then, creating a table that captures key points you need to consider for your analysis will make your summary more accurate, effective, and complete. This step is so important that I get my students to do it for marks. If you are working on a literature review, trust me, you don't want to skip this step. If you do, the review will end up taking a lot longer to complete, and you will be more likely to miss important information. Also, if you are working on a team, these tables are absolutely essential for communication and collaboration. To set up your table, first identify the number of columns you think you will need. I usually start with 7. You can add more later if you need to, but I find it easier to remove information before publication than to add it. The headings in your table will depend on the information you need to collect, which will depend on the purpose of your review. In this video, I will go over the ones I recommend using, as well as a few other helpful options. In the first column, always list the author and year of publication. To make things easier, you will also want to save your articles in a folder on your hard drive by the author and year of publication. I will often also note the country that the study was conducted in. That way, it is easy for me to quickly identify if more research is needed in my country, specific to the topic of inquiry. You can also note the country later in the table. Discipline may also be useful to note, either in the same column or a separate one, if you are looking at a multidisciplinary topic, such as hand hygiene practices. It can help you identify if you need to consider looking in other areas to capture missing disciplines, or if there's a lack of evidence particular to a discipline. However, if your literature review is focused on a particular discipline, such as nursing, then this information would not add anything to your table and should not be used. Remember to keep your table as concise as possible. Include the topic or focus of the study, as well as the research purpose or research question in the next column. The focus of the article is absolutely critical to your summary table. Remember to be concise and specific. I also like to quote the purpose of the article here. Noting the conceptual or theoretical framework will help to inform you of the perspective of the researchers. You may also notice common ones that you could consider for your future research proposal. In any review, it is important to note the paradigm and methods used. Typically, for first-year students, I only expect them to identify the paradigm as qualitative or quantitative. In upper years of the program, and when I publish, I expect a more specific identification of the methodology. Sometimes, depending on the purpose of the review, I will use separate columns for the design, sampling method, and data collection or analysis methods. For pragmatic reasons, I still limit the total number of columns in my table to 7 or 8. The context, setting, and sample should also be noted. This is another location that the country the study was conducted in can be listed. Just don't put the same information in 2 spots. Be concise and consistent. Whenever you are putting more than one type of information in a column, make sure you are also consistent in the way and order it is listed. For example, always note the setting, then the sample in this column. Use a bulleted list or separate information by paragraphs or periods. Key findings need to be presented in a brief way. Make sure you are not simply writing everything down. What findings are of particular interest to the focus of your literature review? The more concise you are, the better. Stay focused. Noting the gaps in the research will help you think about what research needs to be done. Make note of the limitations of the study you are reading, as well as areas for future research. This step can be particularly useful when laying the foundation for your next research project. Many published reviews now include all or part of these summary tables. Go take a look at what has been published for more examples of how to construct your table. If you are having difficulty finding the information you need to fill in your table, please click on the video on this slide. If you like this video, please let me know by pressing the like button, subscribing for more, and commenting below. Thank you for watching. Inquiry is driven by philosophical assumptions. Within research, these assumptions can be divided into 2 main paradigms, quantitative and qualitative. Their differences stem from contrasting ontological beliefs, which have been explored in previous videos. These beliefs determine the most appropriate epistemology and therefore methodology for nursing research. While quantitative and qualitative methodologies are often used alone, please note that triangulation is also used to combine the 2. Quantitative inquiry is founded on a realist ontology. Thus, the researcher maintains an etic perspective through objectivity and distance from subjects. They allow nature to answer the research questions and discover truth using experiments. Methodologies are typically experimental in nature and involve measurable tests and questionnaires. A randomized control trial is the gold standard within quantitative research. It is used for proving cause and effect relationships among variables under study. Quasi-experimental and descriptive methods are also used. The aim of quantitative research is to develop explanations for phenomena. Results are considered factual and universally applicable. They can be generalized because they are considered context-free. While most research is still based in this paradigm, a shift towards qualitative inquiry can be seen in some areas of nursing. Qualitative inquiry is based on a relativist ontology. Hence, the researcher is more interactive with participants, as an emic or insider's view of phenomena is desired. Findings are considered co-created. In this dichotomous view of the paradigms, three dominant qualitative methodologies include phenomenology, ethnography, and grounded theory. However, you will see a number of other qualitative methodologies in the literature. In these methodologies, data are collected through interactive methods like in-depth interviews, and perspectives of participants are analyzed. Qualitative researchers are not searching for objective truth as in the quantitative paradigm. Instead, researchers search for, reconstruct, and interpret subjective meaning. They believe that results are contextual. Thus, qualitative research is also called constructed, interpretive, or natural inquiry. When comparing quantitative and qualitative paradigms, it is evident that they are opposites. The philosophy, approach to data collection, and purpose of quantitative and qualitative research is completely different. However, they can be used together. Triangulation is another approach that utilizes both quantitative and qualitative methods to answer research questions. This triangulation assumes that the researcher does not view one method as superior to the other. Results are considered complete and contextual. Although there are many challenges to using triangulation, results are arguably more comprehensive. Both quantitative and qualitative methodologies are equally vital to nursing inquiry. When used together, they may provide a clearer picture of phenomena. Remember that in nursing, both methods are considered empirical. Methods selected for any research study should be guided by the research question. For more information, please subscribe and visit the links on this page. You may also be interested in the ebook on the website below this video.
So here we are at the rubric. You will be summarizing 5 studies. This is the portion of the rubric that shows you how to attain 10 points for each of the 5 studies you summarize. Now this is important. The area in the template for your reference will be an APA in-text citation format. You will end your template after your summaries with a reference page using the same APA format you would use for any professional paper. So again, in the table, in-text citation, and you only need to use that in-text citation where it asks you for the reference. You don't need to keep using the same in-text citation as you go along the different categories. So you would put your in-text citation in, then you would talk about your level of evidence, the type of study and the aims, the population interventions, and your findings or results, but you do not have to repeat that in-text citation in that row for that study. And again, you'll end your template after your summaries with a reference page using the same APA format you would use for any professional paper. Okay, so this comes to a close, the introduction and review of Module 6. I think that about covers all the questions we have had from students before you regarding this assignment. I hope you find this introduction informative and that it may make this assignment a lot more interesting. And again, please reach out to any of us in faculty with any questions. Peace, everyone.